What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazique, aka Franchise Play, and I am here back with another episode of Mazique Speaks. And as usual, we're going to start it off with Ask FP, but I just want to give a little bit of an update on a few things. One of the updates is wow, look at the boys, look at the boys, look at the boys' facial follicles. Look at the boy facial follicle. I'm gonna be getting. I think I'm going to goatee. I think I'm going to go back with just the regular goatee. I'm going to shave off the joints here. I'm going to go to the barbershop, let my guy bang, bang, but pop, 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 take care of it. You know what I'm saying? And, I'm going to leave the gray in there, leave that wisdom, leave them wisdom strands in there. And, but I'm working day and night on this NBA 2K17 Legends roster, trying to knock out multiple teams per day. In the process of doing the Minnesota, finishing up the Minnesota Timberwolves roster. Junior and I'm going to try to get that Timberwolves roster finished in time enough tonight so we can do our stream. It's going to probably be a beatdown. I'll have the Timberwolves. He'll have the Bucks. And you saw the Bucks have a pretty good team. It's really difficult to slow down Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So, we'll see what happens, but let's go ahead and get into Ask FP right quick so we can talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Now, you guys didn't give me a lot of questions. I didn't actually even think to ask about them, but we didn't get a lot of questions this week. So I don't know if that means y'all don't love me or what. I'm sensitive like that. I get upset when I don't get a lot of questions. Not really, I'm joking. But I'm just saying, I didn't get a lot of questions. So let's go get into it. Very short level of Ask FP questions. And this one starts off with Simon Torvey Sunland. And he asked, March Madness is underway in the United States. How big of an event is this for basketball fans in America? I believe it is a ginormous event, Simon. It is crazy big. It takes over everything in basketball. People who didn't pay attention to anything at all college basketball wise throughout the entire season suddenly begin to take notice to March Madness, the NCAA tournament, and everybody wants to become a genius or they want to know it all about the NCAA tournament. It's the fact of the matter is, I don't care how much you cover NCAA basketball. It's too many teams. It's too many variables. The players involved are kids. So it's very difficult to predict what they will and won't do. I don't think my bracket is actually looking too bad if you really want to know the truth. I've only lost one Final Four team, which is more than a lot of people can say right now. Duke, is the only Final Four team I had. I did not have Villanova going to the Final Four. So a lot of people lost Villanova, and then if they lost Duke as well, then they really in a bad way. But I did not lose both, so I still have three of my Final Four intact, which was Duke, West Virginia, because I had West Virginia going. We'll see what happens with them. I also had who else did I have? My doorbell just rang. I had UCLA, and I also had Kansas as in my Final Four. So I'm gonna have to put you guys on pause real quick. Hold on one second. See, this is what happens. Your daughter gets a prom dress delivered to the door, and that stops your show because nobody answered the door. So I'm doing the show and nobody answers the door. You hear that? How they rhyme? Doing the show, nobody answered the door. That's what just happened. Okay, whatever. That's live YouTube podcasting for you. So, I mean, yeah, my Final Four is looking pretty good. Kansas is still there. UCLA is still there. West Virginia is still there. UCLA is my national champion. But I did have them beating Duke. So that's not good. So essentially, I probably need to beat some people out. I need UCLA to play the winner of Duke's region. Well, no, that's not going to work either. But UCLA, I need UCLA to win it all. If UCLA wins it all, I still feel like I came out looking good here. But yeah, man, it's huge, man. I think it's even bigger than the NBA Finals, because the finality of it and playing one game and losing and you're done. That's just that people are just so taken by that whole concept. So I think it's even bigger than I'm not saying the college basketball season is bigger than the NBA season, but I do believe that the NCAA tournament is bigger than the NBA Finals. All right, our next question comes from Victor Daniel Torres. And Victor Daniel Torres says, where do you see AP, Adrian Peterson, finishing his career, and where do you rank him? Honestly, man, I don't know what the deal is with AP. I don't know if there's teams that are waiting on a discount or whatever. But I thought New England would be a great place for him to finish. I know he does not necessarily catch the ball well out of the backfield, but we've seen the Patriots work around all different types of running backs to play in their system. We saw Corey Dillon and all, different types of guys play a role in that system. I mean, I got to think a motivated Adrian Peterson is something else. But here's the thing, AP, you may not get the ball 25 times in a game playing in New England, and you better not complain about it. So, but I do think that would be a good place for him. I don't know what's going on with the Raiders. They lost Latavius Murray, and there's talk that they could be looking at Marshawn Lynch. I don't know. I mean, what would it look like if the Raiders were somehow able to sign Marshawn Lynch and Adrian Peterson in the backfield? That would be amazing, right? Talk about oh my God. That would be crazy. I'm not saying I can't say either one of those guys are still playing at their highest level, but from name recognition alone, you have two of the best running backs in the past 15 years in the same backfield. That'd be really, really something. I don't know when the last time we ever saw that. All right, next question comes from Victor Daniel Torres, and Victor Daniel Torres says, should the Bulls fire Fred Hoiberg? In his opinion, he says, yes, they should. I understand why you would say that, VDT. I do. I get it. And I agree. I do agree. I believe, man, honestly, that Hoiberg is not a leader of men. He's a guy who can lead college players, but I don't believe he's a guy who can lead NBA level talent. And maybe he can, but I don't think he can do it in this particular stint, as an NBA coach. A lot of guys come up one time from the collegiate ranks as a coach, and they take their first job and they are a little bit overwhelmed. They don't find success. They go back to college, maybe they come back, then they find more success. That could be the situation for Fred Hoiberg, but I think he is a college basketball coach. That's what I think. Schematically, I don't necessarily have an issue with him, but I do have issues with him in his ability to hold people accountable, to earn and gain and maintain the respect of millionaires. I think that's an issue. And I think that's one of the reasons that you see things going awry with the Bulls. Fact of the matter is, he's probably not going to go anywhere. I think Pax, Gar Forman, and Fred Hoiberg probably wind up leaving at the same time, because Hoiberg is Foreman's head coach. He's his hand-picked guy. Okay, if it doesn't work out, we're talking about they've already had Scott Skiles, they've already had Tom Thibodeau, they've already had Vinny Del Negro. So this is three different head coaches that this particular regime has gone through. Okay, so Now you got Fred Hoiberg, which would be their fourth head coach. I mean, how many? I mean, so wait, let's make sure I got this right. No, I'm sorry. It's Vinny. I think it's Scott Skiles is the first one. I think that's who John Paxson fired first. Benny Del Negro he fired. Tom Thibodeau they fired, and now this would be Fred Hoiberg. If he gets fired, how many regimes get to go through 4 different head coaches? That is insane, right? To some, I think it's lenient that they've been allowed to do this, but they were having so much success with the Bulls when Thibodeau was there, so I guess there wasn't any reason to let anybody go. But and I'm not going to sit up here and say that I didn't think maybe that a change from Thibodeau was in order, but I didn't think going to the complete polar opposite was the right thing either. So it is what it is, and we didn't know about Fred Hoiberg, so we can't say we didn't know how he was going to be as an NBA coach. So I can't even jump on him for that. But we can look at what's happening right now, and there's an issue. But here's the problem. I don't think that Fred Hoiberg is the one who needs to lose his job the most. I think that's Garn Pax. I mean, right about now, man, and I've said this time and time again, pretty much in just about every venue platform I've been able to speak on it. What in the world are the Bulls doing? What is the plan? If you're asking a fan base to get behind a team, right, there's got to be a plan. Okay, and with Philly, even though it lasted a long time, but with the 76ers, the plan was trust the process. We're rebuilding. We're stockpiling young talent. That was the plan. And if you're a Philadelphia 76ers fan, you die hard. You say, okay, here's the process. Yeah, some bumps in the road, but this is what we're still doing. Okay, you got other teams that absolutely refuse to completely rebuild, right? And they refuse to rebuild. So they continue to chase big-time free agents year after year so that they can maintain and stay great. Okay, that's their plan. What are the Bulls doing? What are the Bulls doing? I mean, this year should have clearly had been a rebuilding year, okay? In a year that should have been a rebuilding year, you go sign a 34-year-old Dwayne Wade and a 30-year-old Rajon Rondo, whose game doesn't even fit the system, even if he was in his prime. What are we doing? What are we doing? I mean, I don't understand. So that's not rebuilding, and it's not even effectively trying to win now because you went and got a mismatched roster. There's no shooting on the roster. So you knew you weren't going to win this year. So what were you trying to do? And I contend quite strongly that Jimmy Butler should have been traded at the All-Star break. And if not at the All-Star break, he should be traded this offseason. And it's not because Jimmy's not a good player. That it's far from that. Jimmy's a great player. Jimmy's a very good player. Very good. I don't know if I say he's a great player. He's a very good player. All right. He's because I don't throw the word around great a lot when we're talking about players. I think Jimmy's a very good player. Right. But that's exactly the reason why the Bulls have to trade him. You know why? Jimmy is, what is Jimmy, 27, 25 years old? Oh, what? I think he's 27. Let's make sure before I go too much deeper into this. But I believe Jimmy is 27. Jimmy Butler is 27 years old. He will be 28 in September. Dig it? All right. So you tell me whether or not it looks like the Chicago Bulls will be ready to win, will be able to put a team with Jimmy by the time he's 30 years old. He's 28. He'll be 28 by the time next season starts. How in the world are they going to be in position to win in the time frame where he's still in his prime and not even towards the end of the contract the big contract that they gave him? It's like it's totally not going to happen. You know why it's not going to happen? Here's why it's not going to happen. Because the Bulls strike out in free agency year after year. They strike out. No matter what I'm talking, we go all the way back to 2000, 2001 when they ruined Tracy McGrady, Grant Hill, Tim Duncan, and not being able to sign them. Okay, we look at 2000, the summer, the quintessential summer that birthed the Miami Heat team that went to 4 straight NBA Finals. The Bulls struck out with LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh. They ended up settling for Carlos Boozer, who I think is pretty underrated, but clearly he wasn't the guy that they wanted. They didn't get Amari Stoudemire that year either. Okay, it just continues to happen. Carmelo Anthony didn't get him. It continues to happen. The biggest free agents that the Bulls have signed in the last 12 to 15 years was Dwayne Wade this year, however big you want to call that, Pau Gasol a couple years ago, and Ben Wallace back in what, 06 or 07? Come on, man. You know what I mean? Free agency is not a realistic path to success for the Bulls. It's a shame because this is a major market city in Chicago, but it's not a realistic path to success. Okay, so then what if you can't do that? Then what do you look at? You're looking at trades, right? I mean, you're looking at the draft, right? So you look at the draft. If you're picking 16 and 17, or 16 through 18, or 14 through 16, you gotta just, oh my God, lose your mind and luck out and get a who turns out to be a star around that time, around that part of the draft. Now, don't get me wrong, it happens. We all know that it happens. You find guys in different places, but you put a lot of pressure on your front office who has not drafted well, okay, to find a superstar or, you know, somebody like that to go with Jimmy while he's still in his prime. Okay, so that's not going to happen. What else do you have? There's three ways. There's three ways to build a team: free agency, the draft, and trades. Not necessarily in that order, but those are the three ways. So then if you can't do it in those first two ways, then now you have to do it through trades. Something that this particular front office group has been ridiculously slow and reluctant to do. You need to trade Jimmy Butler for one of the top 3 picks in this draft and some other young pieces. If that means that the Bulls have to package Denzel Valentine or Bobby Portis or whatever with a pick with this bundle, like, here's a deal I love, right? I think this is great. You get Jimmy Butler and you get Denzel Valentine, or you get Jimmy Butler and you get Bobby Portis, whichever one the Celtics think is more attractive. You send them to Boston for that number 1 pick, Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart. If the Celtics want the Bulls to maybe throw in Bobby, I would even I know I wouldn't give it Bobby Portis. No, I'm not. I'm giving Jimmy Butler and I'm giving Denzel Valentine to the Celtics, and you can give me back Jaylen Brown, you can give me back Marcus Smart, and you can give me back that pick. And especially if it's, you know, because let's assume it's, even if it's the number 1 pick, give me the number 1 pick, Jimmy Butler. I mean, give me the number 1 pick, Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown for Jimmy Butler and Denzel Valentine, and the Bulls should do that trade in. But I know they won't, but they should. They absolutely should. So yeah, long story short, I do think that they should fire Fred Hoiberg, but he's not the only one that needs to get fired. He's not even the main guy that needs to get fired. All right, next question comes from, who does it come from? We'll cut your name out. Palster, my boy. Wait a minute. Have I been saying your name wrong? I just recognize the extra L in here. You know what? You got to correct me, because I don't think you've ever corrected me. If that's not, is it Pilastyrer or Pilstyrer? Pilstyrer? You got to let me know. I don't know. You got to tell me, do the whole phonetics, the whole pronunciation joint for your name, because I've been calling you the wrong name for like years now, literally years. So help me out. But he says, if you gave an average player as many touches and shots as Westbrook, what would his stats be? How hard is it to do? Honestly, man, if you gave an average player his stats, his shots and touches, I think you definitely get an escalated, a little bit of a overblown statistical profile for that particular player. Now, I don't want to diminish what Westbrook is, because Westbrook is a dynamic, explosive, insane talent, right? So any criticism that I've ever given Russell Westbrook has nothing to do with his talent level, because he is amazing, right? But I do contend that the way he is allowed to play blows up his statistics in a way that, I mean, if LeBron played the way Westbrook plays, he would have averaged a triple-double 7 years ago and probably would have done it 4 to 5 times already. It would be commonplace. This is just what he does. But LeBron doesn't touch the ball as much as Westbrook. And as a matter of fact, no one does. I mean, Russell Westbrook's usage rating is so astronomical, dude, that it is on another planet. Like I'm talking about, if you were to look at like MJ in like his best seasons, right? And you were to say like, who is, what person has had, if you compared his usage rating to Russell Westbrook's, man, you would just be like, wow, that would give you really truly the what you needed to know about just how ridiculous how much this guy has the ball. I mean, he has the ball a lot. You know what I'm saying? A whole lot. So, I mean, I just really think that I'm going to show you something here. Let's take a look at something. I pulled this up so you guys can kind of see what I'm saying when I talk about this usage rating. All right, and hopefully it's big enough where you guys can see it on the screen. I'm gonna blow it up a little bit more. But look at this. This is Russell Westbrook's usage rating for his 2016-17, right? He has a usage rating of 41.9% in 70 games, okay? Now, Michael Jordan in 86-87, 38%. Kobe Bryant in 05-06. This is 05-06 Kobe, 38.7% usage rating. Allen Iverson. Now, we all know what type of team Allen Iverson had throughout most of his career with the 76ers. It was basically everybody else's offense came off of his misses, or his drive penetrates to the basket, kick out, or drop off to a big for an easier shot. Never did he even have a usage rate within 6% of Russell Westbrook. Not even more than what Russell. Why can't I say what Russell has today? I can't say what Russell today at all. Not even what Russell had in 14-15. I mean, DeMarcus Cousins this year had a high usage rate, but it's not even close to it. Allen Iverson, 37.8 in 01-02. I mean, this is letting you know how much this guy is touching the ball. He's touching it a lot, more than anybody in the history of the game for the most part, right? So if you were to put an average player in his position, I'm not going to say that they would duplicate what he's doing, but I will say that you would see that person have a career year. I think anybody who's touching the ball as much as Westbrook, if they're an average player in the league, I think they're going to have a career year. And I think that's part of the reason why you see Russell doing what he's doing. Now, everybody wouldn't average a triple-double because everybody doesn't have Westbrook's talent. But, yeah, we'd be seeing an exceptional season from whoever it was that was having that many touches. All right, believe it or not, the last question today from Ask FP comes from Weston Flores. He says, are you excited for WrestleMania, and what match do you think will steal the show? I am excited for WrestleMania. Like, I'm going to tell you guys, I'm not one of those WWE fans who just like lives to hate on the WWE. You know, sits up and watches it every Monday and Tuesday and all of the pay-per-views just so you can criticize and say how stupid and bad the writing is. And I don't do that. When I see a good show, I say, man, that was a good episode of Raw. Or wow, that was a good episode of SmackDown. Or man, that was a good episode of a good pay-per-view. when I see something I don't like, I be like, oh, that was pretty lame. Why would they do that? That's pretty, So I feel like it's a pretty even balance of criticism and praise. I am very excited to see WrestleMania 33. It's WrestleMania. So if you love wrestling, to me, to not like WrestleMania is just kind of strange, but okay, whatever. You do what you do. It's not my favorite WWE pay-per-view. That is and probably always will be the Royal Rumble. But I love WrestleMania. A couple years ago was one of my favorites ever. The one with Seth Rollins cashes in and Sting was there. There were just a lot of good matches overall, right? A lot of good matches. This year, if I'm saying which match is going to steal the show, I believe that the Roman Reigns, Undertaker, Braun Strowman match I think that's going to end up being a triple threat. It's not a triple threat right now, but I think it will be. I think that one has a really good chance of being phenomenal. I think Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt has a chance to be outstanding. But I honestly think AJ Styles, Shane McMahon is probably going to end up stealing the show. It just probably is. Shane McMahon is insane. So he will try to do things that he really probably should not be trying to do. And AJ is so good in the ring. He can make just about anybody look good. And Shane is not trash when it comes to work, in-ring work outside of his own personal safety, which he gets a little sloppy sometimes. But I think that one probably will steal the show. Now, if you had asked me that a week ago, I would have told you it was Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho. The reason being is because I think that Kevin Owens is really irritated by what went on with Brock Lesnar and Goldberg. I don't know if you guys saw the video. He practically had a shoot at Fastlane right before the match. I mean, he voiced all of his displeasure in the ring. You have to see, like, there's a lip reading script that goes with it. I think I saw it on topropepress.com. And they're breaking it down, and he's giving it to Goldberg. Like, this is trash that I'm being asked to lay down for you in a squash match. This is just, he's not saying that, but that's essentially what he's saying in so many words. And I don't think he's digging it. And I think that he and Jericho are going to put on a show just to prove a point, just to say, wow, here it is. So if I was to go with something else besides Styles, McMahon, that would be the one. But for right now, I think AJ Styles and Shane McMahon is going to probably steal the show. Notice I didn't say Brock and Goldberg because I think we're in store. We have some real garbage coming, some real hot garbage. I don't know what's going to happen, but I don't think Goldberg can work a whole match. And I think if he tries, it's going to be really bad, really, really bad. So we will see. But I am not optimistic about what's going to happen. Not at all. So we'll see what happens. All right. So let's go and take a look at some other stuff here that is going on in my world and talk about what we have. Let me shrink this down a little bit. A little intrusive here. Did anybody hear about the Big Three Ice Cube's basketball league? Now has a TV deal, and I'm like, wow, that's a major step. Ice Cube, the Big Three, reached the TV deal with Fox Sports with FS1, and they're gonna have. Man, there's a lot of star power here. We got Chauncey Billups, Rashard Lewis, Allen Iverson. These guys are playing. Dr. J and Charles Oakley are head coaches. To be honest, it turned out pretty good, and the timing was great for Charles Oakley to have his whole issue with the Knicks, because that just added more publicity and visibility for him, which should then in turn help the Big Three. There'll be an interview or so of two about how he's sitting there or having an issue with somebody's gonna ask him what's going on with him and the Knicks. So that's going to be interesting in itself. I think that is. I'm impressed. I am very much impressed with that. And I'm excited about that league just to see how it goes. You know what? Here's one concept and one thing I thought about. What about a Big Three basketball game? That would be a Big Three video game. Come on, man. Who would not be interested in a 3-on-3 video basketball game with Allen Iverson and others as playable characters. That would be pretty awesome. And then basically what's happening is they're splitting the revenue with the players and the league. So it's like a 50-50 split. So that right there would be pretty amazing. You know, another thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about is this new game. It's a free-to-play game on the PS4 only, and but PS4 and Steam right now. And it's a futuristic sports game, and it is called Disc Jam. And I believe it has a chance to be I want to say, I believe it has a chance to be the next Rocket League. I really think that it's that good. I mean, it's I don't, it's hard to explain exactly what the deal is with it, but it is kind of like tennis, kind of like air hockey, kind of like, it looks like American Gladiators a little bit. Then it has some frisbee type of elements to it. If you have not seen it, I'm gonna play this video for you right now so you can check it out. I was really digging it. I mean, me and Junior were playing it, and I found it to be quite addictive. So this is a 2-on-2 match, so it's just like doubles in tennis. And essentially what you're trying to do is basically just like in air hockey, you're trying to get the disc past the team or past the other player. And it's 2 sets, just like women's tennis. Yes, I think, and then it's so best of 3 sets, I should say. And it is really pretty awesome. Or it's not even just women's tennis, because there are some men's tournaments that are best of 3. They're like usually the tune-up tournaments for the Grand Slams. But yeah, and then I mean, there's several different types of shots that you can take. You can do like drop shots, and you can do things that are supposed to be curved and like that, and you can go off these walls. There's other different types of power-ups where you can do like supercharged throws. I mean, these guys here that are playing now are really good, because they are having some long rallies. And man, I'm telling you, when I was playing, Junior and I were playing, we were having a hard time we weren't playing against each other, but we were having a hard time just, returning it 4 or 5 times in a row. These guys are going back and forth for a long period of time. Online to me is the best. Like, look at that. Now, if you play locally, you have to do split screen, which I don't like at all, because I'm really not a big split screen fan. Never have been. I mean, I'm talking about decades. I've never liked split screen, but in this one, I like it even less, because it is really difficult for me to keep track of this disc and catch it with in split screen. So online is cool because you're always in the near court, basically. So I really dig it. And like I said, one of the best things about it is the bad boy is free. It is free to play for right now. And I really think it has the potential to be the next Rocket League. I'm gonna tell you what I do think, though. I think that it needs more players, and some more content, some like different types of outfits and things like that for the players. Maybe some different alternative kinds of mini games. That would be cool. But also the matchmaking system is a little messed up. It takes sometimes a little bit too long to find a match. But outside of that, I really dug it. I mean, just as a core concept, there's a lot of ways to go with this. But I'm gonna bring up something. As I'm playing this, or as I'm showing you guys this, right? I can't help but say, like, why in the world do we have a futuristic sports video game, but we don't have a boxing? Why is it that we have a futuristic sports video game, but we don't have a tennis? Why is it we have a futuristic sports video game and we don't have a WNBA game? We don't have a volleyball game. There's several sports that are just totally being ignored, but we got people making up sports. And I'm not saying nothing bad about High Horse Entertainment, which is the software group. It's a 2-man team, which is really amazing. Jay Madison, Timothy Rapp, they're the 2 guys that developed the game, and so they're awesome, and they got a great game. But why is there not a duo someplace that is putting in the work and grinding to make a boxing, or grinding to make a tennis. I mean, or grinding to make a college basketball, you know. And in this day and age where we get crowdsourced rosters and crowdsourced teams, I really don't think that it's necessary to have a license for any of these sports games. I mean, man, if you make a boxing and you give us 24 24, you know, generic fictional fighters just to have in the game, just so you can play. You make sure that the gameplay component is on point. You give us an option to have a super realistic bout that is purely for the hardcore boxing fan. And then you give us an opportunity to have an arcade boxing match where it's just more like a slugfest. Give two options for gameplay, hardcore or arcade, right? And give us a awesome story mode that doesn't worry about, you know, to be honest with you, champion mode in Fight Night Champion was amazing. If you do something like that, then I don't think anybody's going to complain. Three modes and four modes basically. You got online head-to-head, some sort of online tournament. So online ranked, online unranked, online tournament. You give arcade mode, simulation mode, and then you have a career mode that is deep and cool. And that's it. And you get your 24 fictional fighters. Then you give the people an opportunity, give them 100 or 150 creative fighter slots and give them the most awesome creative fighter tool that, I mean, honestly, if it's just like the one in EA Sports UFC 2, if it's just like that, we're cool. Even better if it's like the one in WWE 2K17. Creative fighter tool on that level, along with those other options, then, I mean, we have killed the game. Because now, obviously, what's going to happen is people are going to create Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, Canelo. They're going to create all the real guys. So I don't know what, from a legality standpoint, how that looks. But what I do know is somehow, NBA 2K, other games are basically giving the fans the creative player tool or the creation tool, and people are making whatever they are making, and that's it. 2K is not marketing it or whatever. It is user created. So why can't a boxing do the same thing? You got the 24 fictional boxes, so it's not as though it's shipping with no fighters. And obviously, yes, people are going to know that you can't, like at first, a lot of people won't realize. They'll be like, oh, it's just fictional fighters. But here's what I believe. I believe that fight fans, boxing fans, they're boxing video game fans, want a boxing so badly that even if you had to create players and people had to create the fighters and have them shared online, even if that's the way they went about it, I still think you'd have just about every single fan who likes boxing and likes video games jumping on that. I think the same thing, it'd be the same thing for tennis. I think it would be the same thing. The gameplay, though, is where it has to be. The gameplay needs to be tight. If it's tight and it's fun, the people will come. Somebody tweet that. If it's tight and it's fun, the people will come. That's the whole mantra for making a sports video game. If the gameplay is tight and fun, the people will come. That's some hashtag or something. Can we get it? No. Whatever. That's all I got for you guys today. I do appreciate you watching. As always, God bless. Peace.